Olá pessoal, bem-vindos a mais uma entrevista na série Tempo com os Mestres. Espero que estejam a ter um grande dia. Esta entrevista vai ser particularmente especial. Tenho aqui ao meu lado um amigo, Olivier Roland, que é um blogger. Vamos conhecer um bocadinho sobre ele e sobre o que é que os blogs consistem e como é que um blogger pode fazer dinheiro. E vamos conhecer um bocadinho a sua história. Claro que, como estão a ver, temos aqui uma paisagem absolutamente fantástica e devido ao sol, eu peço desculpa, mas aquilo que iremos fazer é usar os óculos, por isso peço imensa desculpa porque vamos utilizar os óculos, ok? E não se esqueçam de um aspecto muito importante, como vamos falar em inglês, clica nos subtitles, que é neste CC que estão aqui por baixo, para poder ativar e assim verem o que estamos a falar, se vocês não estiverem à vontade dentro do inglês, ok? Portanto, vamos a isso. Hi guys! Welcome to the series of Time with the Masters. Today I have a special friend. His name is Olivier and he's a blogger. We are going to meet him and to know a little bit about his story and how the bloggers make money, of course, because sometimes it's something for the people, and we'll get to know a little bit about the entrepreneurship mind, and I think you will enjoy it for sure. Today we are in an amazing place and we have an amazing sun, so forgive ourselves, but we are going to put our sunglasses, okay? So, Olivier, thank you very much for accepting my invitation.
You're welcome, thank you.
And we met in January this year.
Yeah.
And for me it was an instant connection because I felt the mindset was
Yeah, very close.
Yeah, very close. So you are entrepreneur in a very young life. How did you start?
Well, yes, I started very young because I started my first company at 19 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a long story, but to make it short, I was a bit tired of school, you know. I was tired of the system. I wanted
so you didn't graduate?
No, I have nothing. I have not even a basic diploma in France. So yeah, and I decided to drop school at 18 because I was so bored of it, and I wanted to, do something interesting, exciting, leave my parents' house, like a lot of teenagers dream of doing, but I did it, and it was an awesome experience. It was not easy. I did a lot of mistakes.
What kind of company?
It was an IT company. So at the beginning I started by just repairing people's computer, and with time the company lasted for 10 years, and then after 10 years I sold it. Maybe we'll talk about it later. And at the beginning it was just me repairing computer, and then it became more like we were like managing networks and servers for companies, and then I began to transform it into more like a software company. So yeah. So
and what did make the change to be a blogger or to be of a online business? What made the change being an entrepreneur in a real world?
Yeah.
If we can say this.
From brick and mortar to virtual. Yeah. So it's a good question. So at the beginning, like every entrepreneur, I had I was on fire. So I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I didn't care because it was my baby, and I loved it. But after 2, 3, 4 years, it became a bit more annoying. So I wanted to have more balance between my professional and personal life. But I struggled to do that because I didn't know how to be really effective in my business. And at one point I was a bit tired of it. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, now I explored it, it's great, but now I would like to explore something else. And I didn't know what to do because my business was my only source of income. I couldn't get money from the government because I was not an employee in France. And so I was like, wow, what can I do? I have to continue to do this to live, but I'm becoming tired of it. So what can I do? And actually it's when I realized that what was a dream before slowly became like a prison.
Yeah, like a cage, right?
A cage like I built myself. Yeah. And I was like, how can I escape? So I looked for a solution for a few years, And then I stumble upon two things. One is a blog by Steve Pavina called stevepavina.com, and it's the first time when I read this blog that I realized a blog is not just like a journal of your life, of boring stuff you put on internet, you know. It could be like a way to communicate, to share with people very interesting stuff that can help them. And like a magazine.
Yeah, just to introduce so people know exactly what is a blog.
Yeah.
A blog can be like a magazine, can be like a newspaper, can be, because people usually think that blog is only to talk about today I wake up and I like
on iBoot, on Apple, I was thinking that before, and it's when I realized that blog is just a way to communicate, and so it could be like a magazine or newspaper, a way to help people, a course, it could be a lot of things. And I was like, wow, I love to write. And I was like an amateur science fiction writer. I got even published a little bit, and I was like, hey, I love to write, and well, if I can have a blog, I can like
join together, right?
And
both passions.
Yeah, both, and I can like do it from everywhere in the world, and maybe travel a bit more, because I was like having like 1 or 2 weeks of holidays per year. That's it, and I didn't left Europe before, and so I was like, that's interesting. So I started my first blog, which was like a miserable failure.
So first failure.
Yeah.
So you could have quit in that moment. Why didn't you quit?
You mean my oh,
because the first one was a failure, right?
The first one I did everything wrong. Like every mistake I could make, I did make it. And after 6 months of working like crazy on this blog, I made like 16 euros. So
16, just to get know, it's 16.
16, okay. 16 euros. So great. All right, after 6 months. And no, I didn't quit, because first, at the end, I discovered a book that changed my life. It was the second thing that put me in the right direction for what I do now. It was a 4-hour work week by Tim Ferriss. And when I read this book, everything exploded into my mind, because I think I read it in 2 days. I was so excited by this book, and it changed completely in 2 days how I saw entrepreneurship and the way to run a business.
What was the biggest click, if you can remember?
Yes, Tim Ferriss share actually his view of how the biggest click was your company has to work for you instead of you working for your company. Yeah. And it was very big difference for me. It can seem nothing when I say like that, but for me it was huge, because all my life my life was in the service of my company instead of my company in the service of my life. Yeah. And on Tim Ferriss shares all the stuff you need to do so your company is in service of your life. Like you automate things, you delegate to assistants you can hire on internet, and he also teach you how to use the leverage on the power of internet to have like a global business.
So you can center what you are good at and just delegate what you are not good at.
Yes, and you can reach customers all around the world, and you don't need to be anywhere. You can be anywhere. Yeah. Yes, and you can have, and he really puts the emphasis on when you set up a business like that, you can have a great lifestyle, even if you're not a millionaire, even if you don't make that much money, because you don't care about money. What you care is the lifestyle. And he shows in his book how really you can have a lifestyle that most people will find amazing, like out of reach, and it shows you how yes, like a myth, like oh, you have to be super rich, but it shows you how you can do it with not so much money, just with a little tweaks, and by understanding that if you go to Thailand, for example, with 1,000 euros a month, you live like a king, right? So yes, I read that and I was like, oh my god. And he advised a few books at the end of his one, and one of them is The Hemis by Michael Gerber, and I read it 2 weeks after the 4 work week, and bam!
Second aha moment.
Second slap in my face in 1 month. I was like, my god. And why? Because this book, which is a very classic one from the 90s, Michael Gerber in his book explain exactly my problem, why I was working so much in my first business. And basically it's the same thing. He says most entrepreneurs, they're not really entrepreneurs. What they do is create their own jobs, which is good, but it's not a business they are creating, it's their own job. And if you want to be a real entrepreneur, you need not to create your job, but a business. So what is the difference? If you create your own job, you work in the company. If you create a business, you work on the company. It's totally different. So basically, how you work on the company or not in it, you work on the process, on the structure, how it works, and you try to remove yourself from everything.
So it keeps working without yourself.
It keeps working without yourself. Yes. So it changed my mindset like that too, and I was like, oh my God. Before I was like, yes, I'm alone. I'm the only one else to have this problem, you know. And suddenly I realized that almost every entrepreneur in the world have the same problem as me. And yes, so it was also a huge shift in my mindset. And I was like, my God, I'm an entrepreneur for 8 years, and in 2 weeks I read 2 books that totally changed the way I see businesses. So I was like, hey, maybe there are other awesome books that maybe can change for the good, for the better, you know, my point of view on other things. So I began to look for a list of great books, and I stumbled upon the personal MBA list, which is a list of the best business books in the world. And it's at the time it was like 75 books. Now it's 99 in 24 categories, so it's a lot of books. And I was like, wow! I began to read the 2 or 3 first, and it was amazing. And I was like, I need to read every one of these books. But how can I motivate myself? And it's when I got the idea of my first successful blog. Because everything merged together, I was like, okay, I need to have a motivation to read a lot of these books. So what I will do is share it with the world, like giving a challenge to me and share it with the world. So my challenge
to that.
Yes. Yeah. So my challenge was like, okay, I will choose 52 books in this list and read 1 book a week for 52 weeks, so 1 year, and write a summary and publish it on my blog. My blog is in French, Des livres pour changer de vie, which means books that will change your life. And at the same time, so I created this blog only to, it was not only, it was so to share my engagement, and so to not be able to abandon it, you know, because everyone you don't want to look stupid in front of the world. I wanted to be like motivation for me. I wanted it to be like a business too, because I think I really want to share what I just discovered. For 8 years I was an entrepreneur and I didn't read any business book because in my mind it was not necessary.
But was those 2 books that make you decide before, instead of quitting or going forward?
You mean the 4 work week and the email?
Yeah, because you did your first blog.
Yes.
It was a failure.
Well, the 4 work week comfort me in my vision of having an internet business.
Okay.
And because and when everything yes, for me blogging was my way of having an internet business. I didn't question it actually. So I did what I call I name meta perseverance. It's not just perseverance, it's meta perseverance. So what does it mean? It means that sometimes you don't want to be there is a fine line between being perseverant and being stubborn. And so sometimes it's better when you try to force yourself into something and you don't succeed. Sometimes it's better to just drop this specific project and start another one without dropping the main goal. You know. So just like quick example, like if you want to be an entrepreneur, maybe your first business idea will not be good. Maybe you will try to make it a real business and it will not work. So sometimes it's better to just drop this and start another business. So it's basically what I did with my blog. It was meta perseverance. So it's hard to know, when you need to drop something or So there is no magic formula for that. But for me, it was clear the first blog was a mistake for a lot of things. And so I decided to start this one, and I did also some things that helped me to make this blog successful. I bought my first online course on internet all my life.
What was it?
It was a blogging course by Jaros, who is an Australian blogger, and I remember I think the cost was like $350 at the time, and I never spent anything like this in my education before, and especially on the internet. So I remember reading the sales page, and I was like, Do I do it or not? Is it a scam or not? My God, it looks like a scam, right? It looks totally like a scam because this guy, he says he's a blogger and blah blah blah, but oh my God. But I read this blog and I found this article very useful, and there was this 30 days guarantee, right? So I decided to give it a try, and I'm very glad I did because this course helped me to do the stuff correctly this time with my blog. And this blog became my first successful blog, and 1 year and 3 months after I became a professional blogger because I was making 3,000 euros a month with this blog.
So you go from 16 euros in 6 months,
yes,
to
after 1 year and 3 months 3,000 euros
3,000 euros
a month.
It was in the middle, like 300 or something like that. Do you have like something in the middle?
Yeah,
I think we spoke a little bit about, and I think we have like 300 selling with affiliate links or something like that.
Yes, well, with this blog, at the end, before selling my first product, I was making 300 euros a month. Okay. And then suddenly when I sold my first product, I was making 3,000. And then I made a big product launch with partners, and I was making 14,000 euros a month. So it was like a real income of a real business.
Now it's a business.
It's a real business. It's a real business, and not only a job, it's a real business. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, and I decided to sell my first company, and I did it in like I separated in 3 parts and sold it to three businesses.
But let me clarify. And you alone?
Yeah.
You alone?
In my business?
Yeah.
I don't have any employee. I have freelancers that work for me.
Just to clarify,
yeah.
You think that probably Olivier has a big team, he was starting with a big team?
No, at the time I was alone. I was alone. When I did my 14,000, I had a marketing consultant and just me.
Yeah.
But marketing consultant was a freelancer that didn't work a lot on my business. So now I have few freelancers that work for me, but no employee. So it's a very flexible structure I have. And when I sold my first business, for the first time I left Europe and I went to the other side of the world. I went to Wallis and Futuna and Fiji, which are like 2 islands in the middle of the Pacific, and it was awesome.
Wow. So you became, that was in 2010. So from 2010 to 2015, what did it change?
Well, first I began to really enjoy my lifestyle, so I'm traveling like 6 to 7 months a year, it depends, and I did like crazy stuff, like I lived 3 months in California, I made an awesome road trip, I met some of my mentors like Timothy Ferris, I met him, I did an interview of him, and I live, I mean, my lifestyle allows me to not only travel a lot, but also to stay very long in some countries, while a lot of people, they can only go for 1, 2, 3 weeks maybe max. For example, last year I lived 2 months in the Philippines in very remote places, and it was awesome. And I continue to grow my business, and
those travels, does it help you to adapt a few things in your mind? Does it give
it just expand your mind a lot. When you travel, you realize that everything that people think is normal in your country, in other countries people think is bullshit, or it's not very effective. Or when you go to India, for example, it's like you go to another planet. Everything is so different. Everything you think is normal for them, it's weird, and the contrary, Yeah. So you're like, okay, so maybe it's everything people told me is not true. Maybe it's more complicated than that. Yeah. So it helps your mind expand and be more open-minded and more open to ideas and stuff.
So, because I usually have friends that I'm talking about the online business, and sometimes I think it's BS.
Yeah.
It's BS.
Well, yes, there's still people, but we are in 2015, and still some people
think of that.
But some people think that the Americans never went to the moon, so
exactly.
You cannot convince everyone,
But usually people think, oh no, it can happen, but only in America. But you are a French guy.
Yeah.
And you are working only, for now,
in French.
In French.
Yes.
So only for the French language.
Yes.
And can you share with us the accomplishment that you had this last month?
So this last month?
Yeah.
Yes. What is this accomplishment?
your product launch of your.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because for me, I think it's a huge achievement. You go from 16 euros, 6 months, to 1 week or 10 days.
So okay, I can share, but I think people will not believe me. Okay, but that's like 1 month and a half. No, 2 months ago, I did a product launch that made 1 million euros, more than 1 million euros sales actually. So it was my biggest launch ever, and one of the biggest launch in the French-speaking market. So I'm very it's nice.
It's unbelievable. Not just to get you have to your mindset has.
So just to summarize, like product launch is like when I say 1 million, it was in like 1 week. But 1 week of sales.
Yeah, 1 week of sales.
It's not 1 week of work. It's more than that because you have to prepare the launch. Product launch is a bit like what Apple does or what Hollywood does with movies, you know. So you need to prepare a lot before. But when you open cart, between the open of cart and the end of your like offer, I made 1 million. It's like of sales. It's like crazy. Yeah.
So, in your opinion, what is, if you had to choose just one characteristics for an entrepreneur, what would it be?
All right. Well, the most important one is to really act. You know. So first, a lot of people, they don't even educate themselves. They don't read books. They don't follow courses. When they leave school, they think, okay, I don't have to learn anything new for the rest of my life, which especially now is a very big mistake. It was a big mistake for the worst, story of humanity, but history of humanity, but especially now it's very, very dumb because everything is evolving so fast. You need to learn all the time through your life, never stop learning. But learning, so first, a lot of people don't learn, and even people who learn, they don't act as much as they should. And for example, a lot of people will watch this video, maybe entirely, who knows, and a lot of people will
drop in the 5 minutes.
Yes, but a lot of those people that will watch and are still watching now, they will not do anything concrete after seeing this video. So I want to share it with you. Just choose one thing that inspire you from this video and apply it in your life, because if you don't do it, I love to say that because it's true. It's like intellectual masturbation. So I mean, it's pleasant, okay, it can be a nice hobby, but you don't go very far with it, right? And it's always better to have real sex. And to have real sex is to really act into the world with the knowledge you just learned. And also I love to say that there are two kinds of skeptics. There are the good ones and the bad ones. So how to be, the bad skeptic is like, no, I think it's bullshit. I think even it's scam. So what do they do? Nothing. But the good skeptic is like, I don't know. I don't think it will work for me. Maybe it's scam. But let's try. That's how you want to be a skeptic, like scientific skeptic, which means, okay, I don't think it's true, but let's try. Maybe it will work. And I'm very glad. Like, it's what I did when I bought my first online product. I was like, I don't know, maybe it's scam, but let's try. And I'm very glad I did. Maybe it will not work for you, maybe it will, you don't know until you try. And if you really want to be like, to have an internet business or to have more freedom, at one point you need to act and try some stuff until it works.
Amazing. I will not ask it because that's the perfect ending. So, just follow your Olivier's advice, and right now I will just underline what Olivier said, and just comment the video and say what is the one thing that you are going to do right now. What is the one thing that you're going to apply, and just do it, like Nike says, just do it. So I hope you have enjoyed this interview, and I hope it will inspire your life. Okay. Because if you don't do nothing, it will not happen. Okay, you cannot expect the same results doing the same thing. It's always happening the same results, so you have to do a different thing to get another result. And I hope to see you in the next video. Have an awesome week, awesome day, and have a great key. Bye bye.